English is a very important language today. Many people around the world speak English. They use it for work, for study, and for travel. If you know English, you can talk to more people. You can understand movies, music, and books from different countries. Learning English can open many doors for you. It helps you connect with the global community. It is like having a special key. This key can unlock new opportunities and experiences for you in many parts of your life. Knowing English can help you in your career. Many international companies use English as their main language. If you can speak and write English well, you might find better job opportunities. You can communicate with colleagues from other countries. You can also understand international news and research more easily. This is very useful in today's world. The world is very connected, and English often acts as the bridge between different cultures and businesses, making it a valuable skill to possess. English is also the language of the internet. A lot of information online is in English. If you want to learn new things or find information quickly, English is very helpful. You can read articles, watch videos, and join online discussions. This makes learning about any topic much easier. Imagine being able to access a vast library of knowledge and entertainment. English provides that access, allowing you to explore different perspectives and ideas from all corners of the globe, enhancing your personal growth. Learning a new language like English can be a fun and rewarding journey. It might seem difficult at the start, but with practice, it becomes easier. This guide will help you understand the basics of English. We will look at its history, its grammar, and how you can learn it effectively. Think of it as starting an exciting adventure. Every new word and every new sentence you learn is a step forward on this adventure towards fluency and new understanding. The English language has a very long history. It did not always sound like the English we speak today. Its story begins many, many years ago, more than 1,500 years in the past. It started with tribes from Germany and Denmark. These tribes were called the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes. They traveled across the sea to Britain. They brought their languages with them. These languages mixed together and formed what we now call Old English. It was a very different language from modern English. Old English was spoken in England from about the 5th century to the 11th century. If you heard Old English today, you would probably not understand it. The words were different and the grammar was more complex in some ways. For example, nouns had different endings depending on their role in the sentence. One famous story written in Old English is Beowulf. It is an epic poem about a hero. Studying Old English helps us see how much the language has changed over time, evolving through use and contact with other tongues. Then, in the year 1066, something very important happened. William the Conqueror from Normandy in France invaded England. The Normans spoke French. For a long time after this, French became the language of the rulers, the government, and the law in England. This had a very big impact on the English language. Many French words came into English. This period marked the beginning of Middle English, a new phase in the language's development during the Middle English period, from about the 11th century to the 15th century. The language changed a lot. The grammar became simpler in some ways. For example, many of the old noun endings disappeared. Many new words from French were added, especially words related to government, law, food, and art. A famous writer from this time is Geoffrey Chaucer. He wrote the Canterbury Tales in Middle English. This work gives us a good idea of what the language was like then. As Middle English continued to evolve, it slowly turned into early modern English. This period lasted from about the late 15th century to the mid-17th century. A very important invention during this time was the printing press, brought to England by William Caxton. Printing helped to standardize the language. This meant that spelling and grammar started to become more consistent across different books and writings. More people could read, and the same forms of words were seen more often. This was a big step towards the English we know. One of the most famous figures from the early modern English period is William Shakespeare. He was a playwright and a poet. Shakespeare wrote many famous plays like Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet. He had a very large vocabulary, and he even invented many new words and phrases that we still use today. For example, words like eyeball, bedroom, and excitement, and phrases like break the ice are said to have been popularized or created by him. His works greatly influenced the direction of the English language. Another very important development during this time was the Great Vowel Shift. This was a major change in the way long vowels were pronounced. For example, the word mouse used to be pronounced more like moos, and feet sounded more like fate. These changes happened gradually over several hundred years. They are one of an important reason why English spelling can sometimes seem strange or inconsistent with pronunciation today. Understanding this shift helps explain some of these spelling patterns. From the 17th century onwards, we enter the period of late modern English, which continues to the present day. The English language continued to grow and change. The British Empire expanded and English traveled to many parts of the world like America, Australia, and India. As it spread, it picked up new words from other languages. Science and technology also developed rapidly, leading to the creation of many new technical terms. The language is still evolving even now, with new words and expressions appearing all the time. In English grammar, nouns are very important words. A noun is a word that names a person, a place, a thing, or an idea. For example, teacher, John, and student are nouns for people. London, school, and park are nouns for places. Book, table, and computer are nouns for things. And happiness, freedom, and idea are nouns for ideas. Understanding nouns is a basic step in learning English because they are the subjects or objects of our sentences. They tell us who or what we are talking about. Nouns can be singular or plural. Singular means there is only one. For example, one cat or one house. Plural means there is more than one. For example, two cats or many houses. Most nouns form their plural by adding s at the end, like dog becomes dogs. Some nouns have different plural forms. For example, child becomes children and man becomes men. Some nouns ending in -y change the y to i's, like baby becomes babies. Learning these plural rules is important for correct speaking and writing. We also have different types of nouns. Common nouns are general names for people, places, or things like city or dog. Proper nouns are specific names, and they always start with a capital letter. For example, Paris is a proper noun, a specific city, and Maxis is a proper noun, a specific dog. There are also countable nouns, which are things we can count, like 3 apples, and uncountable nouns, which are things we cannot count easily as individual items, like water or rice. These distinctions affect how we use them with other words. Pronouns are words that can take the place of a noun. We use pronouns to avoid repeating the same noun over and over again. For example, instead of saying Mary is happy because Mary got a gift, we can say Mary is happy because she got a gift. Common pronouns include I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. Using pronouns makes sentences flow more smoothly and sound more natural. They are very useful little words that make communication much more efficient in English. Section 5, Action and Being, the role of verbs. Verbs are essential words in English sentences. You cannot make a sentence without one. Verbs usually show an action or a state of being. Action verbs describe what someone or something does. For example, in the sentence, the dog barks, the word barks is an action verb because it tells us what the dog is doing. Other examples of action verbs include run, eat, study, and write. These words bring life and movement to our sentences, explaining the activities taking place. Verbs also tell us about time. This is called tense. The tense of a verb shows if the action is happening now, present tense, happened in the past, past tense, or will happen in the future, future tense. For example, I walk is present tense. I walked is past tense. I will walk is future tense. Many verbs form their past tense by adding ed, like walk becomes walked. But some verbs are irregular and their past tense forms are different. For instance, go becomes went and eat becomes ate. Learning these forms is very crucial. Besides action verbs, there are also verbs that describe a state of being or a condition. These are often forms of the verb to be, am, is, are, was, were. For example, she is happy or they were tired. These verbs don't show an action but connect the subject to a description or state. Other such verbs include seem, feel, or become. For instance, he seems nice or the weather became cold. These linking verbs are important for describing qualities and conditions of the subject. Verbs must also agree with their subject. This means that the form of the verb changes depending on who or what is doing the action. For example, in the present tense we say I walk and you walk, but he walks or she walks. We add an s to the verb for singular subjects like he, she, or it. For plural subjects like we or they, we use the base form of the verb, such as they walk. This subject-verb agreement is a fundamental rule for constructing grammatically correct sentences in the English language. Section 6. Adding color using adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives are words that describe nouns or pronouns, and they give us more information about people, places, things, or ideas. Adjectives answer questions like what kind, how many, or which one. For example, in the phrase a red car, the word red is an adjective. It tells us the color of the car. Other examples include happy child, tall building, and interesting book. Adjectives make our sentences more detailed and vivid. They help to paint a clearer picture in the listener's or reader's mind. Adjectives usually come before the noun they describe, like a beautiful flower. Sometimes they can come after a linking verb, such as the verb to be. For instance, the flower is beautiful. Adjectives do not change their form for singular or plural nouns. We say a red apple and many red apples. The adjective red stays the same. English adjectives are generally quite simple in this way, unlike in some other languages where they might need to agree in number or gender with the noun they modify. Adverbs are words that describe verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. They tell us more about how, when, where, or to what extent an action is performed. Many adverbs end in "ly", for example, quickly, slowly, happily, or loudly. In the sentence, he ran quickly, the word quickly is an adverb. It describes how he ran. Adverbs can also modify adjectives. It is a very hot day, very describes hot. Or they can modify other adverbs. She spoke too softly. Too describes softly. Understanding where to place adverbs in a sentence is important. Adverbs of manner, how something is done, often go after the verb or object. For example, she sings beautifully. Adverbs of frequency, how often, like always, sometimes, or never, usually go before the main verb, but after the verb to be. For instance, he is always late or she sometimes visits. Using adjectives and adverbs correctly will make your English sound much more natural and expressive, adding richness and precision to your communication. Section 7. Building sentences, the basic structure. A sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. In English, a simple sentence usually has a subject and a verb. The subject is who or what is doing the action or being described. The verb is the action or state of being. For example, in the sentence birds fly, birds is the subject and fly is the verb. This is a very basic sentence structure. Many simple sentences in English follow this subject-verb SV pattern. Understanding this core structure is the first step to building more complex sentences. Often, sentences also have an object. The object receives the action of the verb. This gives us the common subject-verb-object SVO structure. For example, in the cat chased the mouse, the cat is the subject, chased is the verb, and the mouse is the object. The cat is doing the chasing, and the mouse is being chased. Many English sentences follow this SVO order. For example, I like pizza, I equal sign subject, like equal sign verb, pizza equal sign object. This order is quite consistent in English declarative sentences. We can add more details to sentences using adjectives and adverbs as we learned. For example, the small cat quickly chased the grey mouse. Here, small describes cat, quickly describes chased, and grey describes mouse. These extra words make the sentence more informative and interesting, but the basic SVO structure is still there. Small cat quickly chased the grey mouse. Learning to identify these core components helps in understanding and constructing longer sentences effectively. There are different types of sentences. Statement sentences tell us something like the sun is shining. Question sentences ask something like is the sun shining? Command sentences tell someone to do something like open the window. Exclamation sentences express strong feeling like what a beautiful day. The word order can change slightly for questions. For example, she is happy statement becomes is she happy question. Recognizing these types and their typical structures will improve both your comprehension and your ability to communicate. Section 8. Smart learning tips to master English. Learning English takes time and effort, but there are many ways to make it easier and more enjoyable. One of the most important tips is to practice regularly. Try to use English every day, even if it is just for a few minutes. You can label things in your house with their English names. You can try to think in English sometimes. Consistent practice is much better than studying for many hours only once a week. Little by little, you will build your skills and your confidence will grow with each small success. Immersion is another very effective way to learn. This means surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. Watch movies or TV shows in English. You can start with subtitles in your own language, then change to English subtitles, and finally try watching without subtitles. Listen to English music, podcasts, or the radio. Change the language settings on your phone or computer to English. The more you hear and see English in everyday situations, the more natural it will become to you, helping you absorb vocabulary and sentence structures. There are many useful resources available to help you learn. You can use language learning apps on your phone. Many of these apps have games and interactive exercises that make learning fun. Textbooks and workbooks like English Grammar in Use can explain grammar rules clearly with lots of examples and exercises. Online dictionaries and translators are also very helpful for looking up new words. Websites like BBC Learning English or VOA Learning English offer free lessons, news articles, and videos specifically for English learners. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. Everyone makes mistakes when they are learning something new. The important thing is to learn from them. Try to speak English with native speakers or other learners whenever you can. Join a conversation group or find a language exchange partner. When you speak, people can help you correct your mistakes. The more you speak, the more fluent you will become. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress along the way. Section 9. Your journey continues. Keep practicing English. Learning English is a journey, not a destination. There will always be new words to learn and new ways to express yourself. The key to success is to keep practicing and to stay motivated. Set realistic goals for yourself. For example, you might aim to learn 10 new words each week or to watch one English movie every month. Achieving these small goals will give you a sense of accomplishment and encourage you to continue. Remember why you started learning English and think about all the benefits it will bring you. Find ways to make learning enjoyable for you. If you like stories, read English books or comics. If you enjoy games, play online games in English or try language learning games. If you are interested in a particular hobby like cooking or photography, find English websites or videos about that topic. When you learn about things you're passionate about, learning the language becomes a natural part of that activity. This makes the process less like studying and more like exploring your interests through a new medium. Remember to review what you have learned regularly. It is easy to forget new words or grammar rules if you do not use them. Spend some time each week going over your notes or redoing exercises. Flashcards can be a good way to review vocabulary. You can also try to use new words and grammar structures in your speaking or writing practice. The more you use the language, the better it will stick in your memory, becoming a more permanent part of your linguistic toolkit. Finally, be patient and persistent. Fluency in English does not happen overnight. It takes consistent effort over a period of time. There might be days when you feel frustrated or think you're not making progress. This is normal. Don't give up. Think about how much you have already learned since you started. Every conversation you have, every article you read, and every show you watch in English is helping you improve. Keep going, keep practicing, and you will achieve your English learning goals and open up a world of possibilities.